The following is an address to the nation by the Honorable Nicholas Steele, Minister for Health, Social Security and International Business.
Good evening, fellow citizens. Only a few short days ago, the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security addressed you, urging you, the beloved people of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, to work with us so that we have a shot at winning the deadly battle against COVID-19. We all recalled when the Prime Minister invoked those vivid, heart-wrenching images of dead bodies and sick people lining corridors from China to Italy to Spain to Iran and elsewhere around the world. In some of the most developed countries around the world, we have watched together as healthcare systems have reached their breaking point, with this disease wreaking havoc on resources. I am sure you have seen the infestation centers that are now the United Kingdom and the United States, our two biggest Grenadian diaspora communities, and from which all of our cases so far have originated. In major countries of the world, streets are deserted, playing fields are abandoned, business places are shut down, neighbors are in lockdown. Here in the state of Grenada, we closed our borders to the rest of the world a week ago. We subsequently announced our first case. The Prime Minister and Minister of National Security immediately went further and recommended that the Governor General to declare a limited state of emergency in Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique. This was designed to convey to you the seriousness of the health threat we now face. A day later, 6 more cases were diagnosed. As Health Minister, my team and I have begged you to stay indoors, observe social distancing, wash your hands frequently, do not touch your eyes, nose, and mouth with unclean hands. Furthermore, cover your nose and mouth when you sneeze or cough. Above all, we sounded the one foolproof measure. Practical or practice social distancing. Sadly, many have not heard us. Many have ignored us. What is more alarming, they have ignored the medical experts, and they have seemingly blocked out the gruesome images of the impacts of this virus that they have seen around the world. Those images alone should have been enough to show you how very dire the situation is, and that we are not to take the chances that many of you continue to take. Sisters and brothers, our most important roles in government are to listen to our people and to protect our nation. This is why the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security is acting aggressively and decisively. The security of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique is compromised. Our security is compromised in a way that it has never been before. Lives are at stake. Your life is at stake. Your grandmother's life is at stake. Your father's life is under threat. My life and that of my family are under threat. So is my neighbor's. Whole families stand to be wiped out. From the halls of the palace to the seat of the Prime Minister to the village slums, COVID-19 has shown that it respects no one. And every time you venture outside of your house, you put yourself and others at risk. Every time you leave your house, you are in danger of getting infected or killed. Every time you break or ignore guidelines to quarantine when you have been exposed, you are potentially taking the life of one of our citizens. Maybe you are prepared to take that gamble, but unfortunately, it's not only to your detriment, you are endangering the lives of each of us. The Prime Minister said before, and I repeat tonight, our administration is not in the business of gambling. We are not in the business of taking lives. Everything else pales in comparison to the health and well-being of a nation. This is not about economics. This is about saving lives. This is about public health, public safety, and public order. To that end, the beach parties end. The bar gatherings and boat parties end. The crowded buses will be parked up. Everything that puts our lives and our livelihood at risk ends. Fellow citizens, as a result of the inability of some of us to follow the guidelines designed to keep you safe, the government is now revisiting the measures from last week with a view to escalating them. This will give our medical authorities the necessary mechanism to contain the very real possibility of a community spread of this COVID-19 virus. It will also ensure that there is proper maintenance of supplies and services. In this regard, therefore, a mandatory curfew will be imposed beginning tomorrow at 7 p.m. and will continue until the 6th of April. During this period, every person shall remain confined to their place of residence, inclusive of their yard space. To avoid contact outside of their households, and except to provide in the regulations or as may be authorized in writing by the Commissioner of Police. This means that you are not permitted to go to the beach, go for a walk, or visit your neighbor. You are only to leave for food or medical emergency. And grocery stores and shops will be open, but only on specified days. The days and the stores will be published and announced through GIS and media houses tomorrow by 10 a.m. All regulations announced last week are intact, except for the following. Every establishment or business shall remain closed, including restaurants and gas stations, from 7 p.m. tomorrow. Shops which sell groceries, grocery stores, and supermarkets in each parish will be open for business between 8 a.m. and 12 noon on select days specified by the Commissioner of Police. Essential movement for travel for shops which sell groceries, grocery stores, and supermarkets. One person from each household shall be allowed to leave their residence once during a grocery day to attend shops which sell groceries. Grocery stores and or supermarkets in their own parish and their own parish only. Any vehicle used during this period for this purpose, where the vehicle is an omnibus, shall carry one person in every row of seat, and where the vehicle is a car, shall only carry one person other than the driver. There shall be no for-hire vehicles used for this purpose. Workers at such shops which sell groceries or grocery stores or supermarkets shall be entitled to leave their homes for work on those specified days. The relevant employers shall provide transport for each such employee. There shall be no more than one person in any row of any seat in any of the vehicles provided for staff. Suppliers who are approved by the Commissioner of Police will be allowed to work to supply shops which sell groceries, grocery stores on the days that those shops and grocery stores and supermarkets are open in accordance to the permission given by the Commissioner of Police. There shall be no sale and consumption of alcohol in or in the vicinity of any grocery store or supermarket in any public place. If the manager, owner, or other person in charge of any shop which sells groceries, a grocery store, or a supermarket, or any employee of any of these entities aids, abets, or facilitates the breach of any regulation without prejudice to any other penalty in law, the shop, grocery store, or supermarket will be immediately closed. Hotels are to remain open, excluding any spas, gyms, restaurants, and discotheques therein, and, however, such restaurants may only offer room service. And where a hotel remains open, the staff shall remain on the premises for the duration of the period under regulation. Hotel employers shall bear the cost of board and lodging for such staff members. Brothers and sisters, I am confident that if we all do our part for the next 7 days, in the first instance, we will see the COVID-19 tide changing in our Tri-Island state. I thank you, and may God bless us all.
The preceding was an address to the nation by the Honorable Nicholas Steele, Minister for Health, Social Security, and International Business. Statutory rules and orders. In exercise of the powers conferred under Section 4 of the Emergency Powers Act, Chapter 88, the Cabinet of Grenada makes the following regulations. Citation and duration. Number 1. These regulations may be cited as the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Regulations 2020. Number 2. These regulations shall come into effect at 6 p.m. on the 25th day of March 2020 and shall expire at 6 p.m. on the first day of April 2020. Restriction on freedom of movement. Number 1. A curfew is imposed every day from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. except as provided in these regulations or as may be approved by the Commissioner of Police. Number 2, freedom of movement every day from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. shall be exercised in accordance with these regulations. Number 3, these regulations shall not apply in the case of a medical emergency. Work remotely from home. Number 1, all businesses and offices may continue their business operations by allowing their employees to work remotely from home, utilizing virtual means, unless they are permitted to work under Regulation 5 or are designated as being essential workers under Regulation 7. Number 2, where a business is unable to continue its business operations by its employees working remotely from home, the business shall cease its operations. Public service, statutory bodies, state enterprises, and courts. Number 4, 1. Subject to Subregulation 2, all members of the public service shall work remotely from home, except as otherwise directed by the Secretary to the Cabinet. Number 2, where the Secretary to the Cabinet directs that specified public officers attend work, the government shall take reasonable steps to A. ensure safe transport of the public officers in accordance with Regulation 13, and B, comply with the physical distancing protocols in accordance with Regulation 6. Number 3, subject to Sub-Regulation 4, all employees of statutory bodies and state-owned enterprises shall work remotely from home, except as otherwise directed by the chairperson of the board. Number 4, where the chairperson of the board directs that specified employees attend work, the statutory bodies or state-owned enterprises, as the case shall be, shall take reasonable steps to A, ensure safe transport of the employees in accordance with Regulation 3, and B, comply with the physical distancing protocols in accordance with Regulation 6. Number 5, subject to the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court Practice Direction Number 1 of 2020, the courts shall remain accessible, shall adhere to physical distancing protocols, and the persons employed within the public service shall work remotely from home as far as reasonably practicable. Number 6, in this regulation, the court means the magistrates' courts and the West Indies Associated States Supreme Court. Closure of businesses and exceptions. Number 5.1. Subject to Regulation 3.2, every non-essential establishment or business shall remain closed except for the following. A, wholesale or retail grocery stores and commercial bakeries from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. The first 2 shopping hours to be reserved for seniors, disabled persons, and essential workers. B, doctors' offices, hospitals, or medical facilities. C, pharmacies and medical supply establishments. D, gas stations from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. E, hardware stores from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. F, hotels excluding any spas, gyms, discotheques, and restaurants therein. However, such restaurants may offer takeaway or room service. G, banks, credit unions, and money services businesses from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Mondays to Thursdays, and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. H, commercial ports and related businesses from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., subject to any variation by the Ports Authority. I, airports subject to Regulation 10(1)(a). J, commercial courier flights. K, drive-through or takeaway food vendors from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. L, registered or bona fide fishermen and farmers engaged in their businesses. M, businesses licensed to provide security guard services. N, such other businesses or undertakings as may be specifically exempted in writing by the Commissioner of Police. And the owner or operator of the establishment specified in paragraphs A to N shall adhere to physical distancing protocols. Number 2, all works of construction of any sort, apart from urgent plumbing, electrical, roof repairs, or other emergency repairs for a home or business, shall cease as of 7 p.m. from the 25th day of March 2020. Physical distancing protocols. Number 6, every business or establishment must A, ensure that all customers and staff maintain physical distancing of no less than 6 feet in or outside their businesses. B, Determine the number of persons that may be permitted in the establishment at any one time by permitting one person for every 30 square feet of store space. C. Within 24 hours of the commencement of these regulations, place distance markers 6 feet apart, indicating where each customer must stand on a line at a checkout point. D. Within 24 hours of the commencement of these regulations, place distance markers 6 feet apart on the outside of the establishment, indicating where customers must stand while waiting to enter the establishment. Shelter in place. Number 7, 1. In an effort to prevent the spread of COVID-19, every person shall remain confined to their place of residence, inclusive of their yard space, to avoid contact outside of their family, except A. Essential workers who report to work. B. Workers required to work under Regulation 4 or 5. C. For essential travel to the doctor, grocery store, bank, credit union, money services business, or pharmacy, or to refuel. D. All members of Parliament, the Attorney General, and the Director of Public Prosecution. E. For outdoor exercise, whether alone or together with family members living under the same roof, not exceeding an hour and a half per day, between the hours of 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. Number 2, for the purposes of paragraphs A to E of Subregulation 1, such persons shall ensure at all times to distance themselves at least 6 feet from any other person. Number 3, for the purpose of this regulation, an essential worker means